Hello and welcome. We're going to draw from Alice Bailey's Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1. And in it, she presents here that it is only when man is no longer deluded by appearance and has freed himself from the veil of illusion that he arrives at a knowledge of the quality of God's consciousness and the purpose which it is revealing. Now, I'm not going to interpret this passage here, this sentence. I'm not going to interpret, but I am going to express what I feel is the potential meaning of this, because one cannot interpret, one can only compare with experience and extrapolate from there. So I can only relate my experience with this passage. That when we are no longer deluded by appearance and have freed ourselves from the veil of illusion, can we truly arrive at the knowledge and quality of the divine presence that rises within us. I say rises within us. It is only when we are no longer deluded by the appearance and have freed ourselves from this illusion, the illusion that we must become free of. But what is this illusion that we must free ourselves from? Most of my explorations here deal with the divine presence, the deity, as it is called. And many of us, there was a time where I saw the deity, the divine presence, as being outside of me. And that is the illusion that we must free ourselves from. That is the appearance that we must no longer be deluded by. The deity does not and cannot, never has existed outside of you, despite the many teachings that tell us that God is above, that God is all around us. Yes, God is all around us, but what is all around us? People are all around us. Nature is all around us. Everything that we identify ourselves with is all around us. However, if we were to consider Genesis as something more than just a creation myth, but if we consider it as the awakening or the rising of the divine presence, because it begins with the Spirit of God moving across the dark waters. Consciousness is always referred to as the flow of water, the flow of consciousness, the river, the stream of consciousness. It's always associated with water. So the presence of the deity moves across our minds, our consciousness. And the first thing that the deity did was to create heaven, One of the first things was to create heaven. And heaven is the dwelling of the divine. The first thing that the divine did was create a place for it. The second thing the divine did was create the earth. Well, the second thing the divine did was create a vessel from which to put the heaven within. And around that vessel became the body. God breathed into Adam, that breathed the Spirit into Adam, making Adam a living soul. And after Adam was made a living soul, in the next chapter, God forms mud around the soul. God did not entomb the soul. God did not trap the soul. God made the form, the mud, part of the soul because he shaped it around the soul, the living soul of Adam. The first thing God did was, as far as the human is concerned with, is to make a living soul, to fashion Adam in his image. And in his image, he brought mud and fashioned the mud around the image of God. So, the illusion is that the divine, the deity, dwells outside of us, when from the very beginning, the divine was within. This is the illusion that is propagated among the masses in order to serve self-interest. God is outside of us, therefore we can do what we want because God is outside of us, and we have severed that connection with God. We are dead because we don't have that connection with God. And once a person frees themselves from the idea of an external deity, they are able to arrive at the knowledge of the quality of God's consciousness. The quality of God's consciousness. Consciousness is the internal landscape and can only be experienced from within. Consciousness is experiential. Therefore, you can only experience God experientially. You can only experience God within, as Jesus taught. When you gaze upon me, you see the Father. The Father is in me, and I am in you. We are all connected. We are all a part of each other. Death is nothing more than a separation from the divine, from the deity. And there are many of us who are dead. The immersion in the deity, in the divine presence, is experiential. And through this experience, through this rising of the divine presence, there is revelation. And revelation occurs within here. That sensation, that emotion that rises within you with revelation, that rises within you when you are immersed in the divine presence. And it reveals to you that you may be in violation of the two principles of the divine. To love the divine with all your heart and to love your neighbor as yourself. To love the divine is to rest within the divine, because it is a relationship. Anything that is emotional is built on a relationship. To love your neighbor is to provide for them, to assist them, to nurture them. And the one thing people miss is that your enemy is your neighbor. Even if you dislike these people, you do not oppress these people. You do not marginalize these people. You give these people what they need. And for the most part, it's respect. You treat them as you treat yourself. You respect yourself, don't you? For the most part, everybody respects themselves. Those who have no respect for themselves, well, you know who they are. Don't you be one of them. She also writes that from a consciousness of himself, man arrives at an awareness of the interrelation, a realization of the deity. And this realization can only occur within. You cannot find the divine, the deity, outside of yourself. You can only find the deity within. You can only experience the deity within. You can't just walk up to the deity and shake their hand. No, it doesn't work that way. You must rest within yourself. You must reflect upon all that you have done. You must contemplate on what you could have done better. And then you must determine if what you have done better is proper. And integrate it. And do what you could have done better. That's called prayer, believe it or not. And that is the interrelation, the relationship with the divine. When you begin to reflect upon your actions and contemplate the value of those actions, it is then that the divine begins to rise within you. It is then that you have this emotional experience. You become immersed in the divine presence. And through this immersion, you become changed. Because when you have this experience, you begin to change. Because you experience something, an indescribable satisfaction. It's not that you want more of this, it's that you discover that this unbelievable sense of satisfaction is a harmony. And that this harmony can only be maintained when you have become aligned with that divine presence within you. Many mansions, many presences. It is not that you become the deity. Unless, of course, you suffer from some delusion or an unhealthy mind, but that you accept the presence of the deity And the deity makes a home within you, because this opens the door to transitioning from death to life, from transitioning from separation to connection, from transitioning to interconnection. Because when you become immersed within the divine, it's not one way. You become part of the divine, and the divine becomes part of you. You become whole. And as part of that wholeness, you naturally begin to discover what it means to love the divine with all your heart, and to love your neighbor as yourself. You begin to understand it, and it becomes more than just words. It becomes action. It becomes expression. It becomes, well, it doesn't become a part of you. You become a part of the idea of what it is. I want to thank you for stopping by and considering this. Think about what is being shared here. Reflect upon it, contemplate it. If it resonates with you, integrate it into the rest of you. If not, no harm done. No harm done. Perhaps you have discovered a different path. Just the same, I want to wish you a wonderful experience today. Thank you very much.